In 2003, engineers tried to recreate Greek fire, the Byzantine Empire's ultimate weapon. They failed. 2,000 years of scientific progress, and we still cannot match the ancients. This isn't an isolated case. Across the globe, from the pyramids of Egypt to the forges of Damascus, our ancestors created technologies so advanced that modern science, with all our computers, laboratories, and billion-dollar budgets, cannot figure out how they did it. Lost ancient secrets forever. We like to believe we're the pinnacle of human achievement. But what if the truth is far more humbling? What if civilizations that came before us knew things we've forgotten or never learned at all? Today, we're diving into 10 ancient technologies that should be impossible. Technologies that challenge everything we think we know about human history. And the deeper you go, the more uncomfortable the questions become. The Damascus blade. In the year 1192, during the Third Crusade, something happened that European knights could not explain. Their finest swords, forged by the best smiths in Christendom, shattered against the blades of their enemies. The Saracen warriors carried weapons made of Damascus steel, and these swords were unlike anything the West had ever seen. They could slice through European steel like it was cloth. They could cut a falling silk scarf in half, and they held their edge through battle after battle, without ever needing to be sharpened. The blade was so sharp it could split a hair floating on water. Modern metallurgists have analyzed Damascus steel under electron microscopes. What they found shocked them. Carbon nanotubes, structures so small they wouldn't be discovered by science until 1991. Somehow, ancient Syrian blacksmiths created nanotechnology 1,000 years before we even knew it existed. We've tried to replicate it. We've used the same ore sources, the same forging temperatures, the same techniques described in historical texts. Failure. Every single attempt has failed. The last true Damascus blade was forged sometime in the mid-1700s. Then the knowledge simply vanished. But this is only the beginning of what the ancients knew. Greek fire mystery. The year is 678 AD. A massive Arab fleet surrounds Constantinople, the last bastion of the Eastern Roman Empire. Hundreds of ships, tens of thousands of soldiers. Victory seems certain. Then the Byzantine navy unleashes something the world has never seen, a liquid fire that burns on water. The Arab fleet erupts in flames. Ships that try to escape only spread the fire further. Water doesn't extinguish it, it makes it burn hotter. Sailors who leap overboard find the flames following them into the sea. The Byzantine Empire guarded this secret more closely than any other in history. The formula for Greek fire was known to only a handful of people, passed down through carefully controlled channels. Even the emperors themselves did not know the complete formula. When Constantinople finally fell in 1453, the secret died with it. Today, chemists have proposed theories, combinations of petroleum, quicklime, sulfur, and naphtha. But every recreation falls short. If this weapon changed your view of ancient warfare, hit like and subscribe for more forgotten history that shapes our world. Because what comes next is even more impossible. Modern Greek fire replicas don't stick to surfaces the way historical accounts describe. They don't reignite after being smothered. Something is missing. And speaking of impossible engineering feats, pyramid precision. The Great Pyramid of Giza contains 3 million stone blocks. Each one weighs between 2, 5, and 80 tons. The entire structure was built in approximately 20 years. Do the math. That's one block placed every 5 minutes, day and night, for 2 decades straight. But the weight isn't what baffles engineers. It's the precision. The base of the pyramid is level to within 1 centimeters across 230 meters. That's more accurate than many modern construction projects. The corners align with the cardinal directions to within 0.05 degrees. We could not replicate this today, even with laser-guided equipment. The stones fit together so precisely that you cannot slip a piece of paper between them. No mortar was used. Just perfect cuts that have held for 400–500 years. Impossible ancient engineering. Modern engineers have proposed theories, ramps, levers, counterweights. Some even suggest the Egyptians could liquefy stone. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Every full-scale recreation attempt has failed to match the original's precision. We built the Burj Khalifa. We sent humans to the moon. But we cannot explain how Bronze Age workers achieved tolerances that rival computer-controlled machinery. And the pyramids are just the beginning of Egypt's impossible achievements. Roman concrete. Walk into the Pantheon in Rome today and look up. That dome has stood for nearly 2,000 years. It's still the largest unreinforced concrete dome ever built. Modern concrete begins to crumble after 50 years. Roman concrete gets stronger with time. In 2017, geologists from the University of Utah discovered why. When seawater seeps into Roman concrete, it triggers a chemical reaction that actually reinforces the structure. Crystals grow within the material, filling cracks before they can spread. The Romans built structures that heal themselves. We know the basic recipe: volcanic ash, lime, seawater, and volcanic rock. The Romans called the ash pulvis pudialinus, dust from Puteoli. We've found the quarries. We've analyzed the chemical composition. We've followed their techniques exactly. The results are close, but they're not the same. Modern recreations don't develop the self-healing properties. They don't gain strength over centuries. Something about the Roman process, perhaps the specific volcanic sources, perhaps the curing time, perhaps techniques never written down, remains beyond our reach. 2 millennia of engineering progress, and we cannot match them. The harbors they built still stand against the Mediterranean waves. Our modern ports require constant maintenance. But this brings us to something even stranger: Antikythera device. In 1901, sponge divers off the Greek island of Antikythera pulled something from a shipwreck that would take a century to understand. A corroded bronze mechanism, encrusted with sea life, that nobody could explain. Impossible. X-ray analysis revealed what was inside: a complex system of at least 30 interlocking bronze gears. It could calculate the positions of the sun and moon. It could predict eclipses. It tracked the cycles of the ancient Olympic Games. Nothing like this would appear again for over 1,000 years. This device was built around 150 BC. The next mechanism of comparable complexity, the astronomical clocks of medieval Europe, wouldn't appear until the 14th century AD. That's a gap of 500 years. The gear ratios are precise to a degree that should be impossible without modern machining. Some gears have teeth cut to within 0.1 millimeters. Ancient Greek computer technology. We've built working replicas, but here's what keeps researchers awake at night. This device wasn't unique. It was mass-produced. We've found fragments of similar mechanisms elsewhere. The ancient Greeks had an entire industry of precision gearwork, and we have no idea how it began or why it disappeared. This wasn't primitive tinkering. This was advanced engineering, lost to time. Stradivarius' secret. Between 1700 and 1720, Antonio Stradivari created instruments in his workshop in Cremona, Italy. 3 centuries later, those violins sell for tens of millions of dollars. The sound they produce has never been equaled. Musicians describe the Stradivarius tone as warm, complex, alive. In blind listening tests, professional violinists consistently identify Stradivarius instruments and consistently prefer them to modern violins costing a fraction of the price. We've analyzed the wood under electron microscopes. We've mapped the chemical composition of the varnish. We've measured the precise thickness variations in the body, accurate to hundredths of a millimeter. Some scientists point to the wood itself. Trees that grew during the Little Ice Age developed differently than modern timber. Others focus on the varnish, possibly containing minerals that modern finishes lack. Some suggest the secret lies in fungal treatment of the wood or specific drying techniques lost to time. Modern luthiers have tried everything: using wood from the same forests, recreating period-accurate tools and techniques, aging instruments artificially for decades. We can come close, But close is not the same. The greatest violin makers alive today admit they cannot match a 300-year-old craftsman working with hand tools. And yet, we're about to discover something even more impossible to explain. Inca stonework. High in the Peruvian Andes sits the fortress of Sacsayhuaman. Its walls contain stones weighing over 200 tons, some as heavy as a jumbo jet. They fit together without mortar, perfectly, not just roughly hewn blocks stacked on each other. These are complex polygonal shapes, some with 12 or more angles, each cut to interlock precisely with its neighbors. You cannot fit a razor blade between them. This precision has survived 500 years and countless earthquakes. Perfect Inca precision. The Inca had no iron tools, no wheels, no written language. According to mainstream archaeology, they shaped these massive stones using only bronze chisels and stone hammers. Try this experiment. Take a bronze chisel and attempt to cut precise angles in granite. You'll understand why engineers struggle to accept this explanation. The harder you look at the evidence, the less it makes sense. Some researchers propose the Inca knew techniques for softening stone temporarily. Local legends speak of a plant extract that could make rock moldable like clay. The conquistadors wrote of seeing stones fitted while still soft. We've never found this plant. We've never replicated the technique. The walls remain mocking our explanations. But wait until you hear about what was happening in India. Iron Pillar Delhi. In the courtyard of the Quwwatul Islam Mosque in Delhi stands a pillar of iron. It was forged sometime around 400 AD. No rust. For over 600 years, this 7-meter column has stood exposed to the monsoon rains of India. Any modern iron structure would have corroded to nothing centuries ago. The Delhi pillar shows only a thin layer of oxidation that actually protects it from further decay. It defies everything we know about iron metallurgy. Analysis reveals the secret: an incredibly high phosphorus content, combined with trace amounts of other elements that create a protective layer called mesawite. This passive film prevents oxygen from reaching the iron beneath. Here's the problem. Achieving this composition requires precise temperature control during smelting. Modern blast furnaces actually can't replicate the conditions. The ancient Indian smiths used a process that accidentally, or deliberately, created corrosion-resistant iron that modern metallurgy struggles to match. We've built stainless steel that resists rust through different mechanisms. But recreating the Delhi pillar's specific chemistry, impossible. Ancient metallurgy. The pillar stands as proof that ancient craftsmen understood something about iron that we're still trying to figure out. And speaking of materials we can't recreate, Lycurgus cup. In the British Museum sits a Roman cage cup from the 4th century AD. Hold it up to the light, and something impossible happens. The glass changes color. Light it from behind and the cup glows ruby red. Light it from the front and it appears jade green. For decades, scientists couldn't explain how ancient craftsmen achieved this effect. Then electron microscopy revealed the truth. The glass contains nanoparticles of gold and silver, each about 70 nanometers in diameter. That's roughly 1,000 times smaller than a grain of salt. When light passes through, these particles interact with different wavelengths to produce the color-changing effect. Ancient nanotechnology. This is called dichroic glass. Modern scientists first created it in the 1950s, using controlled laboratory conditions and precise measurements. The Romans did it 600 years earlier. The particle sizes are too uniform to be accidental. How did ancient glassmakers control particle size at the nanometer scale? How did they even know these particles existed? We've managed to recreate the effect using modern techniques, but matching the Roman method, whatever it was, remains beyond us. And this brings us to perhaps the most disturbing lost technology of all: Voynich mystery. In 1912, a book dealer named Wilfrid Voynich purchased a mysterious manuscript from a Jesuit college in Italy. Carbon dating places its creation between 1404 and 1438. It contains 240 pages of text in an unknown alphabet, accompanied by bizarre illustrations of plants that don't exist, astronomical diagrams that don't match our sky, and naked women bathing in green pools, connected by elaborate plumbing. No one has ever decoded a single word. The world's greatest code breakers have tried. During World War II, American cryptographers who cracked Japanese and German codes spent years on the Voynich manuscript. It is the most mysterious manuscript in the world. Here's what makes it impossible to dismiss as a hoax. The text follows linguistic rules. Statistical analysis reveals patterns consistent with a real language, patterns too complex to fake, especially in the 15th century. Someone wrote an entire book in a language that never existed. Or did it exist? Some researchers believe the manuscript contains encoded knowledge, botanical, alchemical, or astronomical, that its creators needed to hide. Others suggest it's a constructed language, created for purposes we cannot fathom. Unknown, lost forever. Modern AI has been trained on the text. Pattern recognition algorithms have analyzed every page. The Voynich manuscript remains unbroken. Whatever knowledge it contains, whatever technology or wisdom it describes, may be lost to us forever, unless we're willing to accept an uncomfortable possibility. 10 technologies, 10 mysteries. The more I learn, the more I realize how much I don't know. We sent robots to Mars. We split the atom. We mapped the human genome. And yet we cannot recreate a sword, a concrete formula, or a cup of colored glass from civilizations we consider primitive. What else have we forgotten? Perhaps the real lesson isn't about technology at all. It's about humility. Our ancestors weren't stumbling through the dark, waiting for us to enlighten them. They were masters of their world in ways we've lost the ability to understand. Lost ancient wisdom. Every one of these technologies challenges our assumption that human progress moves only forward. History isn't a straight line. It's a winding path with dead ends, forgotten roads, and knowledge that slipped through our fingers. The next time someone tells you the ancients were primitive, remember, they built wonders we cannot match, created materials we cannot replicate, and encoded knowledge we cannot decode. If you made it this far, comment ancient wisdom to prove you're among those who question the comfortable lies of progress. The truth is never comfortable, but it's always worth knowing. History has more to teach us. Subscribe if you want to learn what they don't want you to know.